Salute. How y'all doing? My name is DerrickCWilliams. From a total suppression of real news and information to Americans who were once formerly a free and strong people in less than a year's time have been transformed to absolute zombies who are scared of their own shadow, to wearing a face diapers that have been confirmed to offer no benefit to a healthy person, much less stopping a virus. In fact, I would be dropping the link for this landmark Danish study that was conducted, and I will be putting that in the description box below, from neighbors snitching on neighbors for simply having gatherings and people actually wanting to stay in the house on house arrest. I would have never thought this of America. It's almost like we're living in the Twilight Zone. The title of this presentation will be called "The Year is 2020," and I'm just one man in the comment section on YouTube. This will be a two-part video presentation, one where you're having people debate over what should be non-debatable, and the second part of the video will be showing predominantly Democratic politicians who are flouting their own edicts, but they tell you and I to stay in the house to stay safe. And one final note, this Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, I just don't like this motherfucker. Her or that bullshit afro she got. I just don't like her. All y'all take care. Greenville, Mississippi till I die.
Okay. I think that was Jason. All right, Rick, I just wanted to just highlight something that the background of this whole discussion comes with what we're seeing in terms of COVID cases. And we're seeing, maybe stimulus, but we're seeing calls for not necessarily closing things down, but certainly there are some calls to closing down, except for the politicians themselves. But for their constituents, they're talking about, they need to be much more careful. We're hearing, right?
Yes, no, believe me, I believe in careful. And when I point out governors cheating, it's not for the hypocrisy which exists. It's the fact that I think many of these governors are intelligent people, and they love their families, which they've taken out into restaurants. Therefore, there is actually and should be an ongoing debate as to, why a parking lot for a big box store like by my house is jam-packed. Not one parking spot open. Why are those people any safer than a restaurant with plexiglass? I just don't get it. And I think there's a million of these questions that could be asked, and I think it's really sad that when we look at the service sector and all the discussions we've had about job losses, that particular dynamic isn't studied more, isn't worked more. We don't put more people in a room and try to figure out ways so that these service sector employees and employers could all come back in a safer way. You can't tell me that shutting down, which is the easiest answer, is necessarily the only answer.
Rick, I just as a public health and public service announcement for the audience, the difference between a big box retailer.
Who is this?
Hold on. The difference between it's Andrew.
Who else?
The difference between a big box retailer. Hold on. Restaurant, or frankly, even a church, are so different. It's unbelievable.
I disagree.
I
disagree.
You're wearing
You can have your thoughts and I can have mine.
You're required to wear a mask.
I disagree.
It's science. I'm sorry. It's science. If you're wearing a mask,
science.
it's a different story.
500 people in a Lowe's aren't any safer than 150 people in a restaurant that holds 600. I don't believe it. Sorry. Don't believe it. And I live in an area where there's a lot of restaurants that have fought back and they don't have any problems. And they're open.
Okay. You don't have to believe it. But let me just say this. You're doing a disservice to the viewer because the viewers need to understand it.
You are doing a disservice to the viewer. You are. You are.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would like to keep our viewers as healthy as humanly possible. The idea of packing people into restaurants.
I think our viewers are smart enough to make part of those decisions on their own. I don't think that I'm much smarter than all the viewers like some people do.
Can I get in here, please, and get back to the jobs report?
How's that working out for you, Rick? How's it all working out for you? I mean, look at the numbers, Rick.
It's working out fine.
I think the numbers, Rick, belie Rick, the numbers show that
I
the
understand
idea of
it's
let it
a
rip has not
horrible
worked all
thing,
that well.
and people are getting sick and dying.
It's not
I
worked all that
understand
well, Rick.
it. I just think the way we deal with it isn't.
Show talking about this, there would be no agreement, so let's move on from here.
Mayor Jim Kenney is apologizing after a photo surfaced on social media showing him dining indoors in Maryland this weekend. This photo, showing Kenney seated at a table, made the rounds on social media. Some criticized the mayor for dining indoors while Philadelphia restaurants are still prohibited from allowing customers inside.
Democratic leaders getting slammed for not following their own coronavirus restrictions.
I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up and walked back, got in my car, and drove back.
The last thing that Mayor Lightfoot talked about today was getting a haircut. And she didn't do a whole lot of talking about it, but she certainly didn't apologize for it either. But a photo that surfaced on social media showing the mayor after getting a trim has some asking, what about me? The mayor was asked at least twice about the haircut this afternoon.
I'm out in the public eye, and you know, I'm a person who I take my personal hygiene seriously. As I said, I needed to have a haircut.
Just hours after Los Angeles County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl voted to ban outdoor dining at LA County's 31 restaurants over COVID-19 safety concerns, she visited a restaurant in Santa Monica where she dined outdoors.
What we confirmed is that just hours after she made those statements last Tuesday and hours after she made that vote, she came right behind us to where we're standing right now and dined outdoors at Il Forno here in Santa Monica. It's an Italian restaurant that's one of her favorites, not too far away from her house, which completely violated and went against every single thing that she said during the board meeting when she described outdoor dining as too dangerous.
Mayor of Austin, Texas, now apologizing for telling people to stay home and stop the spread in a video that he posted from his hotel in Mexico.
Watch Mayor Steve Adler, the mayor of Austin, Texas, watch his plea to the public from a few weeks ago.
We need to, stay home if you can. Do everything you can to try to keep the numbers down. This is not the time to relax. We may have to close things down if we're not careful.
You noticed the ceiling was showing? Well, perhaps Adler had the camera tilted up so people couldn't see sand and palm trees.
It is now my distinct pleasure to present the 2020 International Emmy Founders Award to Governor Andrew Cuomo.
We acknowledge it might sound a little crazy that Andrew Cuomo is getting an Emmy.
It's disrespectful of people not to wear masks.
They said this was like a hug that we're receiving in a time of grief.
Nancy Pelosi is under fire today after surveillance video shows her at a hair salon getting a blowout and not wearing a face mask.
As it turns out, it was a setup, so I take responsibility for falling for a setup.